Hi, this is Net Security, or NET-201. We're doing the security unit for LAN WAN. Alright, so we reviewed some key things first. We talked about security, and we started out talking about data. Didn't say much about data, but the fact that we need to be concerned when data is being stored, when it's in transit, and when it's being processed. Why do we have to worry about that? Well, we need to make the data available. We need to guarantee that the data is accurate, and we have to decide who can or cannot see the data. Right? So this is what we need to do when the data is in these particular states, and then how we do that, how we can manage that. There are products and devices, all kinds of products, firewalls, firewall software, protocol analyzers, virus software. There's all kinds of products. We need to have some type of policy or a guideline, some type of a policy or some guidelines for people to follow, and we have to help put that in place with procedures. For example, we have a procedure that takes care of disaster recovery. We have a procedure that takes care of when we change stuff, and the policies then are updated. So the how-to, this is crucial. What products we have, making sure people are up to speed. People are crucial in security. Do the people have some type of policy they follow or a guideline? A policy is pretty rigid. The passwords have to be this, 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 and this. A guideline might be, we would like to have you change your password once a month. But there's not a stringent rule, but there's some good guidelines. Don't click on links in emails unless you're sure you know what they are. How do people get up to speed? How do they know how to do these things and so forth? Well, we have procedures. We have procedures to train them. We have procedures that they follow when they install, or procedures they follow when they take a device somewhere else or brings it back onto the environment, the campus, and so forth. This is a huge part right here. This is a huge part of security. Next thing we talked about briefly was authentication. Identify who somebody is, and they usually do that by something they have, something they are, or something they know. Okay, you get in your motel room because you have a card. It's something you have that gets you in the motel room. Some security places have a card and a keypad, so it's something you have and something you know. A lot of authentication is done with usernames and passwords. So those are both something you know. Now, something you are, maybe you can scan somebody's eyes, take a fingerprint, weigh them, check their height, all kinds of things computers can do now to identify you. Once you're in, authorization is what you can do, what you're authorized to do, and then audit and accounting. Authentication, authorization, audit, and accounting. Keeping track of what people did. Then we went on and talked about security policies. You can have a whole course on security policies. Informs the users, staff, and so forth of what is required of them. Okay? What mechanisms can we get this done with, and where are we starting? We have a baseline so we can see if something is abnormal. Common security threats inherent in the technology, in how we configured it. Do we have a policy or lack of? There's always, politics can be involved with the policy and so forth. Do we have some kind of access control? What do we do when there is a change? How do we manage that? Is there a procedure? Did it follow policy? Were people informed? Disaster recovery plan. No matter how small or how big you are, what do you do if something happens? A typhoon, a hurricane, a tornado, a power outage, a flood, natural things that you don't have much control over. Somebody accidentally does something wrong in the system and destroys a bunch of data. Okay, how do you get that data back in? What's your procedures for recovering for backup, procedures for backup, and so forth. All right. So we've already talked to most of these things over here on the left. Same class. I've already talked about these items, so let me finish up over here. Physical infrastructure. We have hardware. We have the environment that the hardware is in. Computers run on electricity. We always have electrical issues, too much power, not enough power, loss of power, UPS systems, so forth. And then all the physical part needs to be maintained, a certain level of maintenance for all that. And where are we at risk when we're maintaining, updating, and so forth. So we have the whole physical infrastructure we have to be concerned about. Network threats. This was just to give you a couple areas. There are unstructured, unplanned, and then there are structured ones, people specifically planning to do something to the network. Could come from the outside, could come from the inside, externally. Social engineering. Social engineering works with trying to work on the human aspect of security. We talked about people earlier. So that human aspect of tricking people into doing things they shouldn't do. And then I gave this brief example. We have an untrusted area that has to communicate maybe to a web server in a DMZ, which has to communicate to an SQL server internally. If this gets compromised, then they have access internally. And that was it for today.